So the off season for most golfers is right around the corner. And if you're like myself, growing up in Canada, you did a lot of indoor putting. There's plenty of mats for you to choose from. But earlier this year, PuttOut rolled out the AirBreak, a revolutionary putting mat with a revolutionary price tag. So in today's video, I'm gonna dive into the AirBreak, see what it's all about, and see if it's worth $350 or should you just stick to putting on the carpet or putting on a $100 mat you got off Amazon. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is a $350 putting mat, but it has technology in it that makes you wonder why no one has ever thought of it until 2024. There is 8 airbags underneath this mat that you can pump on and adjust to give you up to 7 degrees of side slope, so left to right, or 3 degrees uphill, 3 degrees downhill. So this takes your indoor putting practice from just a flat surface, playing the break of your garage slope or your basement slope, into something where you can practice breaking putts inside 8 feet. Yes, it's an 8-foot long mat. It comes with a base, an often overlooked thing if you're getting into building something at home. You want your feet to be at the same level as your mat. Nice little touch right there. The box, the unpackaging, the assembly is very, very easy, very straightforward. There's an instruction guide if you need it, but I don't think you need to do it. You just open it up, you fold it out, you take out your pumps, you put the thing on, you stand on there, and you roll some putts. So a little tail of the tape, I've said it's a great base. You have a little bumper on the end to catch golf balls if you miss the putts, and the hole has an automatic ball return, so 2 great little touches right there. The mat itself is just like any other PuttOut mat you've seen in the past. Pretty smooth surface, rolls about 10 on the stimp, and then these things, just simple little pumps for my Reebok pump fans out there, to control your brake, little valve to let it go, to get that air out and make it flat. Now I've tested, reviewed, and continue to use a few products from PuttOut over the years because they're so good. The quality of everything they've made and continue to make is unmatched. And the quality of this whole contraption is 10 out of 10. This base is so solid, like it's not going anywhere. And that was one of my initial thoughts, like, oh, you got a little base, it's gonna be flippy floppy. No, it's solid. Everything feels so good. These pumps don't feel flimsy. The quality is so good. The putt rolls well. It rolls just like I would expect a PuttOut mat to roll. I did give these surfaces a little bit of criticism over the years because in time, a rut begins to form. But it's easily kind of brushed away. I think that's just par for the course when it comes to these surfaces, these indoor surfaces. But the fact that you have this on an incredibly stable base, and it reacts like a real hole for lip ins, lip outs. The fact that you have it on an incredibly stable base helps for the smoothness of the roll, because if you're just rolling out, for example, one of PuttOut's mat itself, if I were to roll it out in here, I'm gonna be a victim of the surface of my garage, of my little flooring setup here. That's not the case. Being on a base, on a platform, just makes that smoothness, that trueness so good. So when I saw this at the PGA show, I thought it was really cool, but I kind of had this thought of like, well, how do you know how much it's breaking? You're just gonna kind of pump it and feel it, because you can't get up here and feel the break with your feet. If you try to feel the break with your feet, obviously you're standing on those airbags that you've inflated. So it's not gonna be like, oh, I can feel the break, or I'm gonna get down there and read the break. It'd be a little bit harder to read the break like out on a golf course. There's an app. There's the AirBreak app where you calibrate it and lay it down on the ground, and it's gonna tell you the break, the uphill, the downhill, just the overall slope. A little criticism I'll give, I would like maybe like a center point or something, because if I begin to see my break here, but I move the ball to over here, it's a different break. If I see my break there and then move my ball here, it's a different break. Small little thing, but if you're wanting to practice with that efficiency and attention to detail, you're gonna do it. But it would be nice to just know like kind of what center is, so then you're reading off center when it comes to the slope. But even if I were to move it over here, this base, it's so flush that even if I'm to stand like kind of on both, I don't feel like I'm standing on two different things. That's a nice, just attention to detail and build quality standard that wasn't overlooked. But here is what I really have to say. If you want to get practicing on this mat over the course of your off season, you're gonna need some feedback. It's one thing to putt with break and have a hole that you're making or you're missing, but a starting gate is a huge advantage to be practicing on putts with break. Fall back a little bit on my center line a little bit here. I would love a center line because now I've got some break here. I have to line my starting gate to that break, make sure I'm starting the ball on line, and I get feedback on, can I start the golf ball on line relative to the break of my putt? And then I've always been a fan of a mirror. I have the PuttOut mini mirror, another little checkpoint that just helps you get all your lines in check, get your start line in check, and it just helps you reacting to breaking putts and just making you that much more prepared for the golf course. Okay, so it's not all apple pies and rainbows when it comes to this thing. This mat is so innovative. I think it's gonna start to be duplicated by many brands out there because it's done something that has not been done yet. But is it entirely necessary? That's the question. And is it worth $369? My hang up is it's an 8-foot platform, so you're roughly putting a 7-foot putt. So yes, you can make a 7-foot putt with 3 degrees of slope up or down. That could be something you get on the golf course. A 7-foot putt with 7 degrees of slope left to right, that's not gonna happen very often. A 7-foot putt with a bit of a hump in the middle, that's not gonna happen very often. So you're not necessarily practicing or simulating real golf situations with this 6-7 footer. You're working on seeing a line and hitting a line. But I think you can kind of do that on a flat putt because I believe the first foot is so important. But working on a flat putt, working just on a putting mat and hitting your line left of the hole as if it has break, there's no feedback, there's no gratification, there's no positive reinforcement of a putt going in the hole. And I think the psychology of that is far more important than the psychology of just like, oh, I see this putt being 2 balls outside. I'm gonna start this putt 2 balls outside on my flat mat. Oh, and it hit 2 balls outside, but it didn't go in the hole because it can't break. Take that for what it's worth. For indoor practice, for your off season, you can simulate certain short putts you'll get on the golf course, but some of the extreme that you simulate here, that's not gonna happen on the golf course. So I think that's just superfluous. I don't think that's really beneficial to anyone, but working on start line, working on break, especially a left to right putt for a right-handed golfer or a right to left putt for a left-handed golfer, those are the ones that are easy to come up and out of and miss. So you give yourself half a cup of break from 6 feet, put a little gate up there and start that ball on line and get the feedback of the putt going in the hole. That's gonna benefit you when you get out to the golf course. If you have the money for it and the desire to improve and really, really hone in on start line control, feedback of seeing break and making break, it's for you. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely going to help you in your off season. I certainly will have some fun with it. Thankfully, it doesn't have a huge footprint. It folds up pretty easy so that if I'm not using it, it can kind of tuck away in the corner. Phenomenal product, so innovative. And even in just 20 minutes of putting on this, I caught myself missing that left to righter on the low side. So just making sure I stayed down. I got feedback and I benefited from it, and that will help me on the golf course. So PuttOut, you keep knocking it out of the park with what you're making. Well done. I can't wait to see what next innovative product you come out with because you're crushing it. We'll see you in the next one.